Okay, cool. Welcome back. Happiness part 3. I think we're going to get, this is the penultimate one. Okay, so we're going to have one more probably next week. And this morning I had a great conversation, a great workshop from Sam Gibson. Okay, limitless training. He focuses on emotional eating. We finally got around to our get together. So he has delivered like an hour and a bit's worth of workshop on. It is based around emotional eating, but it is bigger than that. Okay, and it's actually some of the stuff we talked about is stuff I've talked about in the past and stuff I'm going to talk about a little bit today as well. So it's nice to know we're on the same page. His focus is like on eating people who they're not necessarily overweight. He himself was an emotional eater. Again, if you watch it, you'll find out. But he was also a bodybuilder, so he had depression and some sort of I would say he would admit it himself, some mental health problems, and he's gone on this kind of journey to uncover his demons and his traumas and his relationship with food, which wasn't healthy, and now he's much happier, and he's still a big strong guy, but he's not like the bodybuilder type physique that he was in his kind of earlier 20s. So it's an interesting thing, and some great bits and tips in there. So whether that's for you, or whether that's just for information, or whether it's for maybe someone else, a family member or whatever, I do recommend watching that, and I will get that to you hopefully today. Might be early next week. Okay, but I'll let you know, and I'll get it into all the usual places. So happiness number 3. So this week we are talking about blind spots, basically things that are just outside of our perception, things we don't notice. Okay, they're there, but we don't always see them. So here's one. You might know this statistic. Okay, roughly 60 to 70% of our thoughts are negative. Okay, and we have roughly 60,000 thoughts per day. Okay, that gives us a roughly 30 to 40,000 negative thoughts every day, which is amazing. Okay, not only that. Sorry, let's just read this. Yeah, so I didn't do a live with Sam. Okay, so it was just me and him talking. I'll send it out as a recording later. I didn't kind of advertise it. Okay, the next thing on happiness is that we give more weight to negative thoughts. So again, negative thoughts are the kind of things historically that would keep us safe. Okay, so we're hunting. I've used this analogy a few times. We're hunting. We're down by the riverbanks, and there's a deer over there, and it's like we're approaching. Okay, as a tribe. Okay, trying to catch our dinner, essentially. But we hear this roar, or we hear this noise, this rustling in the bushes behind us, and from our experience, we know that tigers live in the neighborhood. So we need to give up our thoughts on our positive goal, the thing that we're going for, because what's more important is our survival. So we give weight to negative thoughts because a negative thought is more likely to save our life, and ultimately saving our life is what it's all about. We can survive a few days without food, we can go out hunting again, but if we're dead, we can't do that. So negative thoughts are they have a bit more weight. Happy or kind of normal events tend to be ignored, or kind of go unnoticed, because they're kind of run of the mill. Okay, they're normal. Okay, so most of the time we're in a normal state, we're not under threat. Okay, and we kind of ignore most of what happens in our day because it's not a threat to our survival, and it's not particularly fantastic. It's not like fireworks are going off or anything like that. So the normal is generally quite positive. If I look out the window right now, there's blue skies. It's a sunny day. I've had a great morning. I've had great conversation with Sam. I've had one-to-one. I've had a few other bits and bobs. I've done a TikTok. I've done a post on LinkedIn. It's generally good stuff. I had a decent morning with the kids. I wasn't like shouting and screaming and all that kind of stuff. Didn't get to the gym, but hey ho. So generally, probably 90% of my day so far has been pretty positive. Very few negative, if any, negative thoughts. Okay, very few, I would say, today. Maybe that's a bit of a skewed day today, and other days are more negative than today. Today's seems to be like an extra good day. Okay, but generally 80–90% of our day is either normal or good. Okay, we're breathing, we're alive, we've got relative comfort, we've got our cars, we've got food, we've got all these things. Okay, we've got relative fresh-ish air. Okay, you're not going to get we're not, I don't think any of us are in a major city. So it's not like we're super polluted. We're not in like Beijing or anything like that where there's pollution all around. Okay, we're not threatened by war too much. Okay, it's kind of a distant kind of thing in the back of our heads maybe at the moment. There's nothing major going on in our lives that is actually really, really, really that bad. Okay, maybe with a few exceptions. Okay, but yeah, okay, generally normal running is good. Okay, so there's 7 filters, okay, or 7 blind spots, sorry, 7 blind spots. The first one is filters. And again, I've kind of just described filters. We only really recognize what is either out of the ordinary or what matches what we expected to happen. So if we're expecting bad things to happen, we will see more bad things. If we're expecting good things to happen, we'll see more good things. But as I said, most of our mind is focused on negative. Okay, 60–70% of our mind is focused on negative. We're simply just going to notice more negative things happening because that's what we're attuned to for our survival. Okay, so we generally don't notice that we didn't get hit by a car. Okay, because we just crossed the street. Okay, I didn't get hit by a car. We don't celebrate I didn't get hit by a car. We just crossed the street safely. Okay, people aren't dropping dead down in the street. We don't notice ordinary smells, which are generally either neutral or nice. Okay, we only really smell stuff when it's bad or farts or bad stuff. Okay, and sights and sounds and smells mostly they get wiped away. Okay, because they're kind of irrelevant. They're irrelevant to our survival. If they're not a threat to us, they're irrelevant. So we filter out virtually all of the information we get. Now, I can't, again, this is a statistic I can't exactly remember, but our brain receives millions and millions and millions of bits of data. It's like the internet. Okay, so the internet has so much stuff being loaded onto it and downloaded onto it all the time. But the only bit I receive is this bit. Okay, this is the only information I'm getting from the internet right now. Okay, so that's like my perception. Okay, I'm filtering out all of the other stuff. Okay, filtering out that wall, I'm filtering out that wall, I'm filtering out the window. I know it's there, but I'm not paying any attention to it. I'm filtering out the sounds from outside. I'm filtering out any other sounds from anywhere else. Okay, I'm filtering out my thoughts to an extent because I'm focused on delivering this. Okay, and I'm filtering out everything except for this. Okay, so that's 99.99999% of everything I'm filtering out. Okay, my brain is just focused on that very small bit. Okay, so if we find ourselves in a bit of a state, okay, a negative mood, of fear, anger, sadness, whatever it might be. Okay, so what we do is we go, okay, I'm here and this is what I'm focusing on right now. Okay, let's open it out. What else can I see? Okay, got books over there. There's a whole range of books. They're all different sizes. They're not very well ordered. Okay, okay. What else can I see? I've got the flamingo thing. Okay, and you just, again, it's probably a mindfulness technique. Okay, so just literally look around the world around you and just look at all the things. Use your senses, use your smell, use your taste, use your hearing, use your sight. What did I miss? Taste, I think, as well. Taste is the one I think I missed. So use all your main 5 senses. You can also use your kind of internal senses and go, okay, well, what's going on in my body? Okay, so don't necessarily, so instead of focusing on I'm scared, I'm angry, I'm bloody, bloody, blah, whatever the emotion is, expand our awareness and start taking in what else is around us or what else is inside of us. Okay, so let's say with an emotion and you're looking inside of you, you might notice muscle tension, you might notice heart rate, you might notice stiffness, you might notice an area that's flexible, you might notice breathing patterns, you might notice tingling, you might notice warmth, coolness, etc., etc., etc. We just expand our awareness away from our point of focus. Okay, so that's kind of tip 1. So one of our blind spots is that we filter out everything. Okay, our brain can't deal with everything, so it only tells us a very, very small chunk of information. Okay? And it's that chunk of information that is making us sad or angry. Okay, and when there's millions and millions and millions of other chunks of information that we could go focus on that doesn't make us angry or sad or whatever. Okay, so expand awareness. Okay, assumptions. Next filter. Next blind spot. Okay, when there is missing information, we guess. Okay, and we make our guesses based on past experiences. So if your past experiences in a similar situation have been negative, we're going to make an assumption that this particular situation is going to be negative as well. And vice versa, if there's missing information and past experiences have been positive in a similar set of circumstances, you might have a positive spin on things. I don't like crowds. I don't recall a specific memory where I've had a problem with crowds, maybe bar one, but I had a problem with crowds before that. I assume something bad is going to happen. Okay? Because I'm in a crowd, it's noisy, it's chaos. Okay? I don't particularly like being in crowds. Okay? But I also know logically that I'm going to be safe. Okay? I just don't particularly like the noise. I can't hear things, I can't see things, I can't, all this kind of stuff, because I'm focused on the crowd, I'm focused on the noise, and I'm not focused on other things. And I'm assuming that, I don't know, something's going to attack me, or something bad is going to happen. I don't know why. There doesn't seem to be a specific for me, but I've made an assumption based on past experiences. Maybe it's something I've seen on the news. Maybe it's something because I was in the army, and so when there were crowds and you're in Afghanistan or Iraq, okay, anything can happen. Okay, maybe it's part of my training. I don't know. Okay, that's one for me. So I'm assuming something bad will happen in a crowd. I'm out of control. I don't like it. Okay, so I need to go out, practice going out and be in busy environments, and kind of just going, okay. Okay. Another assumption we might make is something like people don't like me. Okay, we make a general statement, and we don't actually know what the answer is. We're making a general, making a general thing. Okay, people don't like me. I'm sick. Okay, because only maybe a bit of you is sick. Okay, the rest of you is absolutely fine. Okay, so it might be 1% of Matilde is unwell. Okay, or Melinda with a cold. Okay, 1 or 2%. Okay, I'm 2% sick. Okay, I'm 98% healthy. Amazing. Okay, so no matter what you've got, you're not 100% sick. You might be 10% sick or 15% sick. Okay, 20% sick would be maybe pretty severe. Okay? But for the most part, we are 99%, 98% healthy. Okay? I can move, I can bend, I can do things with my body, I can lift up stuff, I've got strength to some degree. I'm good. Okay? We just make assumptions and generalizations that go, I'm sick, I'm dying, I'm blah, 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 da, da, da. Okay? So yeah, assumptions are something to be aware of in our world. Okay, so when we can stop assuming stuff and work on what are the actual facts. Okay, yeah, I've got a cold, 2% sick. Okay, you can make up the number; it doesn't really matter. I'm 2%. Okay, next one, third. Number 3, predictions. I would dump this in as kind of anxiety. Okay, so we're predicting the future. Okay, we're trying to, again, it's very similar to assumptions. We're trying to predict the future based on, I'll rewind a little bit. Assumptions are kind of based on the present moment, okay? Whereas predictions are based on the future. Okay? So in the future, nothing is certain, okay? So we make guesses or essentially assumptions that back up our thoughts. Okay, so in the book, he's called it the prediction circle. So we go from, I predict something, then we look for the evidence that you're right. Okay, we only look for the evidence that we're right. We very rarely look for the evidence that we're wrong. Okay, and you see it in science and health all the time. People only look for the science that backs them up. Okay, they don't look for the science that doesn't back them up. Okay, and you'll very, very rarely, if ever, get someone to change their opinion. And it's quite funny. Okay, because I've got into those debates and I've decided it's not worth it. Okay, if I find evidence that was something that backs you up, you then go out and support it with actions. Okay, so you go, Let's say it is health, okay? You find evidence, okay, and go, right, such and such in a blog, in a scientific study, proves that something is good for you, okay? Something helps with weight loss. Let's say something helps with weight loss, okay? You go to the internet, okay, and see 20 or 30 testimonials from people who've used this supplement and they've lost weight, okay, or used this thing and they've lost weight. Okay. Then maybe you take it yourself and go, aha, it works, right? And then the cycle continues, okay? And then other people will come along and say, oh, it's a load of nonsense, da, 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 okay? So you find evidence, you support it with your own actions, the thing happens, okay? You say, yes, I was right, I knew it, and then the circle goes on and on and on. Okay? And we get stuck in this opinion, I suppose it's kind of an opinion as well, right? Of this is what happens when this happens, and this is what happens when this happens, right? And we look into our future and say, look, that happened in the past, therefore that's going to happen again. It's going to happen forever and ever and ever, okay? And again, that's not true, okay? Which is an interesting one. Okay, memories, now we're looking at the past. Okay, next blind spot, we're looking at the past. Okay. Memories are always a little bit false. Okay, and there's a good analogy he uses in the book. Okay, he talks about having like a bucket or flask of water, and the truth is pure water. Okay, truth is pure water, and a memory is like having the truth and you've mixed it with ink. Okay, because that ink is your perception of events. Okay, it's your perception of events. So it's colored with your emotions, it's colored with your experiences, it's colored with all the things that have happened in your past, all the stories you've been told, everything. Okay, so the truth will be distorted by how much emotion, how much story you've added in around it. Okay? So memories are never completely true. They will have elements of truth and elements of stuff you've made up based on your history. Okay, so beware of memories. Okay, all of that will then go on and affect how you judge things, how you do things, how you show up in the world. Okay. Number 5, labels. These are things like good and bad, nice and evil, terrorist or freedom fighter. Okay, so it reduces our need to think about things. Okay, so if someone's walking down the street, let's kind of take the terrorist scenario. Okay, and again, my experience in the military. You know, someone walking down the street in a dish dash and a big long beard and a turban, even though logically I know that person isn't a threat because of my training, I might be a bit more wary of that person, okay, particularly if there's other things going on, right? Obviously, I'm not in a desert environment right now, so if I did that in Hemel, probably wouldn't care so much, but if I did that if I was in Kuwait, or if I was in Iraq, or if I was in somewhere else, okay, I might kind of have pause for thought. Okay, so because I've labeled that kind of image of a person, and from the news, you know, from 9/11 and from all of that kind of propaganda from that time, you know, we've labeled someone who looks like that as potentially a terrorist, albeit we know logically that they're not. Okay, but it reduces our time to think, which might, again, it might save our life. Okay, so our brain wants to save us. Okay. So there can be, there's all sorts of different labels we'll use. Pretty, nice, scary, tall, bright, cheap, expensive. Okay, we're using these labels all the time. Just it speeds up processing time for our brain, and we don't want to waste energy. So again, they are useful, but can kind of lead us down the wrong path a lot of times. Emotions. Okay, number 6. The truth is always filtered through our emotions. Okay, again, we've talked about this one. We've got our kind of these are truth, okay, truth, but then we have our filters over the top. We've got sunglasses on or glasses on, okay, imaginary filters in there. Okay, it's probably the other way around. Okay, the filters are actually behind the eyes. Okay, so emotions are a big part of that filter. So I wrote down a little story. Okay, you could experience being out on your commute one day and be angry because of an argument with someone you've had in the morning, and someone cuts you up on the road, okay, and almost like road rage, okay, you guys probably wouldn't get out of the car, but maybe someone would get out of their car, start screaming at somebody else, potentially situation going on, because that person's out to get you today. The following day, you don't have an argument in the morning, you're feeling generally quite good, and someone else cuts you up in the car, and you're like, it's okay. Because that same event and your emotions on that particular occasion are kind of more neutral or happier, you don't react in the same way. Right? So emotions, again, we've always got to be careful of the emotions that we're experiencing at a particular time, and just kind of recognize, I'm experiencing sadness, I'm experiencing happiness, I'm experiencing joy, I'm experiencing whatever, and kind of go, okay, well, because I'm sad right now, that's making that thing look darker. And because I'm experiencing happiness right now, I might make that thing look lighter. So just again, it's just a point of awareness. Okay, what emotion am I feeling? An exaggeration. This is big because I think I do this quite a lot. Okay, it's quite ironic that I exaggerate quite a lot. Okay, bigger to our brain often means better. Okay, bigger to, if you give someone a gift and it's got a bit of weight to it, it's a little bit heavy, okay, and you take that gift, it almost has more value than something that's light. Okay, even though the light thing might technically be more valuable in terms of price and money. Okay, so our brain likes bigger or heavier. Okay, so it kind of almost enjoys exaggeration. Okay, we like to tell stories. Okay. The bird with the most elaborate display or shiny rocks gets the girl bird. Okay, and the bird with the less shiny rocks and the less impressive display does not get the girl. Okay, again, it's kind of evolutionary. Whoever looks the best tends to get the best things. Okay, whoever shows off the best tends to get the best things. Okay. In humanity, in people, the woman generally with wider hips and perhaps larger breasts is perceived to be a better or more likely mother, because those are the features we've associated with being good at reproduction. Okay, and being able to get through childbirth, essentially. So if a woman has narrow hips, there is an increased risk of death, both for the mother and the baby going through birth. But with wider hips, there is a decreased risk. And again, it's a survivability thing. So actually, weirdly, through time, hips have got wider, breasts have got bigger. And that's part of the reason why. Okay. So be aware of words that exaggerate things. Things like always, never, every, or every time, or everyone. Okay. Things like huge or tiny. Okay. So again, adjectives that perhaps over exaggerate an actual situation. Okay, fine a bit. Okay, so ask yourself, okay, what am I missing here? So we look at a situation, okay, a part of our life, okay, through all these filters, okay, through all these blind spots, okay, things we can't see, okay, what am I missing? Okay, so there's an experience that makes you feel angry, there's sad or upset or frustrated. What am I missing here? Okay, that's a good question to ask. Okay, ask yourself, what am I missing? What's more true? Okay, and we'll come on to that. Okay. Yeah. Look for facts. Okay, always look for facts and not just emotions. Okay, so yeah, we might be feeling something. Okay, start looking for facts. Okay, it's like I explained with the body. I'm feeling anger. Okay, what's the fact associated with anger? Okay, so it might be a pulsing I can feel on my temples. It might be a clenching of my fists. It might be muscle tension in my arms or in my chest. It might be breathing has changed. Okay, and you can start describing things, and it's like when you start describing things in this way, okay, even if it's just internally, you're not necessarily going to say it out loud, it decreases the power of the emotion, particularly if it's a big one. And you just got to remember to do it. The remembering to do it is the tricky bit. Okay? The remembering to do it is the tricky bit. Right. Yep. And is it true? This is kind of the ultimate end of this chapter. Is it true? So what I am saying or what I'm thinking, is it ultimately true? Okay, because it might feel like something is always happening to me. It might feel like everyone is ignoring you. It might feel like, yeah, the world is against you. Okay, but is it really true? Well, we can say no pretty much to most of these things. Okay, we can say no to most things. Okay, so again, in the book, it said feelings always feel true to you. Okay, so feelings are kind of always true because they're always true to you. It's your perception. But most other things that we think are not true. Okay, most other things. So we're exaggerating. We are putting labels on. We're making predictions. We're using our memories. We're making assumptions. And it might feel true. Okay, but ultimately, when we actually look at the details and we start looking at the facts and be a bit more rational about it, we can realize that the things we're feeling are not necessarily true. So once we start recognizing that and practicing that, we literally have to ask ourselves, is it true? Okay, and actually think about it. We'll start experiencing fewer negative emotions. And when we have fewer negative emotions, we have fewer negative thoughts. Okay, and that 60 to 70% of negative thoughts we have in the day might reduce down to 50%. Okay, and imagine how much better you'd feel if you have a 50-50 split between negative and positive thoughts. So yeah, since practicing things from this book, I've experienced a lot more happiness. So since going on holiday, reading this book, I've experienced a lot more happiness in the last, 4 weeks or so. And if you're able to do at least some of them, okay, you don't need to do all of them. You don't need to do all the stuff I've talked about in the last few weeks. Okay, just some of them, just get started, okay, on 1 or 2 of these things, and we can start moving away, or start moving away from negative emotions a little bit. They're still going to happen. I guarantee it. Guarantee they'll still happen. You're not going to be happy all the time. You're not going to be. But what we want to do is have fewer negative emotions so that you can experience more happiness. Okay, and that will make a big difference. Yeah. So 90% of, or probably even more, 99% of everything that goes on in our life is either normal or good. Okay, and there's only a very small percentage of what goes on in our life is actually bad. Okay, and if we just bring our awareness out to, you know what, the 99% of things that are good, rather than kind of closing everything off and focusing on the bad thing that's happening right now, or the bad thing we're expecting to happen in the future, or the bad thing that happened in the past that we're making predictions about the future or making assumptions on, hey, we can open up our vision and go, actually, we're okay. I'm actually all right. Cool. That's it for today. On that, we're going to get on to treatment time. So I'll see you on the other side for that.